Good afternoon, everybody. This is JD. Several times I've talked about the promises that are made about our Constitution making promises to each and every American. That is found in the preamble. If you read the preamble, you'll find the promises. I mean, it's almost the whole preamble. In order to make a more perfect union, then it goes into the promises for each and every American. I want you to look at the Constitution and start realizing. But tonight we're going to talk, or today I'm going to talk about one of your rights. It's in the First Amendment. And with the grace of God, I hope I get this done right. It's very, very important. If you looked at the Supreme Court ruling about prayer in school that upset a lot of people in this country, you will see that the Supreme Court came out with a very definite boom, bang, boom, boom, saying no. When the truth of the matter is, a lot of schools don't even listen to it, because the Constitution says that Congress shall pass no law. And because Congress cannot pass a law, it cannot interfere with the free exercise of your religious beliefs. So anything the Supreme Court rules on, one way or the other, has to be left to the 10th Amendment, because no one in the federal government can pass a law. Actually, the First Amendment begins with, doesn't even mention freedom of speech yet, begins with, ready for this? Congress shall make no laws respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise therefor. That is the very beginning of the First Amendment. What is it actually saying there? Well, it says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. That means you cannot pass a law towards a religion or prohibit the free exercise therefor. That says it can't pass a law against the free exercise of your religious beliefs. So when the Supreme Court made its ruling, click, click, no prayer in school, that is interfering with the free exercise of your religious beliefs. If you believe that you or your children should begin their day with a moment of prayer in school, and that's your religious belief, the Supreme Court is trying to interfere with your free exercise. Yes. But then, we have a problem then. If this is the very first beginning of the very First Amendment, which the newspapers run up and down, freedom of speech, that's the second part, not the first part. But no one says freedom of religion, free exercise. That is very, very important. Then, what is it that the government can do? Well, if they can't interfere with the free exercise, if they can't pass any laws regarding religion one way or the other, then what must Congress and the Supreme Court do? Well, they must read the 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment, and this I'm going to quote, the whole amendment. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. And to that I add, and to no others, meaning no political party, no anything. It's up to you people to decide. So when it comes to religion, Congress and the federal government cannot make a ruling. That's right. Congress and the United States Supreme Court cannot. then what can the Supreme Court do? They can give you a suggestion, saying, with what we heard here, we would like to suggest this, but you must refer to the 10th Amendment to, and then give their suggestions and how it would apply to the 10th Amendment. As you, the people, in your local community, we suggest that you make this decision or that decision. But we can't tell you what you can and cannot do in what you consider free exercise of your religious beliefs. We can neither say, oh, that's great, we support it, or, oh, that's bad, we can't support that. All we could say as Supreme Court judges with reading of the Constitution is that this is a matter that needs to be left up to the state and the local community and the people within that state and local community. And this is a recommendation how. In other words, a mediator, not an arbitrator. See, most of the time the Supreme Court acts as an arbitrator. They say, this is the way it will be. And that's the way it is. But when it comes to religion and it comes to the free exercise of, the Supreme Court is no longer an arbitrator, but a mediator. And they could, well, we suggest this, or this suggestion, or that suggestion. And what is the difference between a mediator and an arbitrator? Arbitrator, when they say, you will do, you will do. A mediator says, we suggest this, but you say, no, we're going to do this instead. And that's just as good. So people, when it comes to your religious beliefs and the free exercise, please don't give that to the federal government. Don't allow Congress to infringe. You have to be very careful in protecting your rights. And you people who don't believe in God, by attacking this, those who do, you are setting up for the removal of your rights in this country that is defended and protected by our Constitution. Because if you allow the federal government to take away anything in the first 10 amendments, then the federal government can take away everything in the whole Constitution. So that's what this is about here. And I trust in God that you all understand what I'm trying to say here. We, as the American people, must insist that our government, the Supreme Court and Congress, take the high moral standards when it comes to discussion of freedom of religion. See, even though separation of church and state was stated by Jesus and written a lot by Thomas Jefferson, the truth is there that the separation of church and state is by the people. The people shall govern how they freely practice their religion, when and where they pray, when and how they pray, to the God they choose for. And the federal government has to accept it. They cannot say yay and they cannot say no. They cannot pass laws against a religion, or they cannot pass laws supporting a religion. Congress cannot interfere with your freedom of religion for you to freely exercise your beliefs, though they wish they could. So, people, myself as president, If you haven't figured out yet, those first 10 amendments are going to be off limit by Congress. The first one, the second one, guns, personal property, in time of peace, housing of military personnel, unless that's your son and daughter and you want them there. Because you see that now the federal government says this amendment says that you can't house military personnel. Your son and daughter are in the military, so they have to leave your house. No. We have to allow you, the people, to be able to live how you truly feel. It's your right within your house, and that has to be protected. The right for you to own property has to be protected. The right of your papers have to be protected. The privacy. When that door closes from the front street, that is your world. And the federal government has to respect that. They need to understand the purpose of the government is to serve the people of this nation. Not the other way around. The people to serve. See, our government is taking Kennedy's saying, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. And our government says, yes, you got to do for your country. You got to do for your country. You got to do for your country. More, now even more you got to do for your country. But they forget that people are not to serve the government, but the government is to serve the people, and no others, no other entity, nothing, just the people. And that's the thing that is forgotten. So when you get a chance, people, read the preamble, look at the promises. And please don't let the government take away one letter out of the first 10 amendments. And if anyone challenged Supreme Court makes a ruling on any religious activities, do not accept it. Because Congress cannot pass no law one way or the other. And your free exercise is guaranteed to you, the people. That's a right. That's not a privilege. That's not a promise. It's a right that you have. The free exercise, therefore, of your religious beliefs. The very first part of the very first amendment. And remember the purpose of the first 10 amendments. They had to be accepted for the Constitution to be accepted. So by altering those first 10 amendments, you nullify the Constitution for any reason whatsoever. Those first 10 amendments were placed there so that each and every state would ratify the Constitution of the United States. And altering any one of those first 10 amendments nullifies that ratification. That's the condition of the Constitution. The first 10 amendments is the condition of the ratification of the Constitution. But people, read the preamble. There is promises made by our Constitution to each and every one of you. Right there. Right after. It starts right after, in order to form a more perfect union. Actually, more perfect union is part of the promises. People, yes, I'm JD. Yes, I'm real. Yes, 2016, I'm going to try to run again for president. But I need your help to organize, set up the committees that are needed within each and every state. I need a campaign manager, and I need a campaign team. I can't do it alone. I already found that out in 2008. along with the people that helped, I did very, very far beyond anything I ever expected. Now, it's up to you people. We can get our government back. Our government can serve the people instead of the political parties. Our government can belong to you, the American people, but only if you're willing to work for it and take it back. And I don't mean with guns and bullets. We don't need guns and bullets. We don't need to destroy property. We don't need to hurt people, whether on one side or the other. What we need to do is show the way and use our Constitution to return our government to you, the people. Thank you. This is JD. And again, I'm asking because I can't do it alone. I need your help. I need a campaign manager that is brave enough to see what I'm about and say, yes, we can do this. Though it may be improbable, it is highly possible. Talk about a contradiction. And I need a team that truly believes in the American people as a whole. Because there's always going to be extremes at both ends. But truly believes in the American people as a whole and know that together we, the people, can get the return of our government. It's funny how there is so much in the Constitution that is not known in all those little parts that mean so much. For example, education is in the Constitution in the clause provide the common defense. What a common defense? Because we have to have the military. Military requires middle high school education or equivalent. Therefore, the federal government must meet that requirement to the people, must make that available to each and every citizen. Because each and every citizen has the requirement of possibly serving 2 years. So to meet that requirement, they must have a high school education. To have or equivalent, to have that high school education, it has to be provided. But we could do it Obama's way and say you all pay for your own schooling, because that's the way insurance is. Get you off of Medicare and Medicaid, you have to have insurance. But that's funny, because to get you off of Medicaid, you have to have the insurance. Now, I have insurance, and because I'm 65, over 65, I'm 66 now, and because I'm getting Social Security, I have to take Medicare. I have to. So now I have TRICARE Prime, which I pay for because I have a wife and a daughter, and I have Medicare. But my TRICARE changes to TRICARE for life, even though I'm paying for TRICARE for Prime, for family. See? So they get me going and coming. Some of you, they get coming. Me, they get going and coming. So you all have a nice day. And yes, we can help our nation get back on its feet and start serving the American people. But I need your help, and I really need a good team. We can do it. Thank you very much. This is JD. And remember what this is all about. You, as American citizens, Congress cannot tell you when, where, and how you ought to pray. You have that free exercise. It's guaranteed to you in the Constitution, First Amendment, First Section. Congress shall make no laws and interfere with the free exercise of it. So Congress cannot tell you you can or cannot pray in school. Congress and the Supreme Court cannot tell you where or where you shall display your religious symbols, whether it's a cross, whether it's a star, whether it's the Ten Commandments. Congress does not have that right. You have the right to tell Congress where you want to pray. You have the right to tell Congress how you shall pray. You have the right to tell Congress where you will display your religious symbols. Whether it's a church cross, a temple star, a temple crescent moon, a synagogue star, a temple crescent moon, you have the right to tell Congress or the Ten Commandments where they shall be displayed. Because that's the free exercise of. So you local communities that wish to display the Ten Commandments in your local courts, you can tell the federal government that's the free exercise of. That's guaranteed in the First Amendment. All I ask is a little discretion. Make Commandment 1, 2, and 3 numbers, and then write out the others, or do them all as numbers. But if you want to write all of them out, you have that right. Because that's the free exercise of. If you want to display it in your front yard, you have that right. Matter of fact, if you're in a community that says you cannot do it, you can display it, and as soon as you go to court, you read that first part of the First Amendment and say, I am practicing the free exercise of my religious beliefs. And see what happens. Okay? You all have a nice day. This is JD, and I want to thank you all for the time that you all have given me. But it's now time for me to take much more from you, because we have to fix our government, and we can do it. Thank you. This is JD. Like I do on a lot of my writings, and I do on my emails, thank you for your time. JD.